Star Trek Ascendancy on today's Wednesday Morning Drive. Hey everybody, Matt Cribbs here, and welcome back to another very bright morning drive. How are you doing? I am fantastic. It is a great day. It is unseasonably warm for January. We had snow on Friday night, and then last night, which would be Tuesday night because it is Wednesday, things started to melt, and huge sheets of ice were falling off of our roof all night long and just crashing into the driveway, which was kind of cool and also kind of terrifying because I had to park my car away from the house. Otherwise, it would have done real damage. I mean, these things were like an inch thick and big, like, several inches big. So it was interesting. It was an interesting experience. We have a rather steeply pitched roof on our house. So, yeah, that's apparently a thing that happens. This has been the first really cold, followed by warm, followed by cold to freeze it and warm again type of winter we've had since we moved here. So anyway, that was interesting. Today, as I teased, I want to talk about a board game. This is a board game, Star Trek Ascendancy. I bought Star Trek Ascendancy several months ago, actually, at Star Trek Mission New York. I think I talked about going there in one of the earlier episodes. Great Star Trek convention, first one for the family, but they had pre-release, it wasn't out yet, Gale Force 9, I believe is the company. I hope so. If not, I'll make an annotation with the right name. If I am right, then I'm just going to be right. So Gale Force 9 is a publisher, and Star Trek Ascendancy is a incredible board game. I think it retails for about $100, but you can find it anywhere from 60, 75, something like that online. And it is well worth the price. It is a ton of fun. It is a 4X board game, I guess. That's what the kids are calling it nowadays. I would just kind of call it a strategy game, but apparently the type of game it is has a term. I'd actually never wasn't a term familiar with me. It's a 4X game, and that stands for, well, let's get some help. Okay, Google. Okay, Google. What is a 4X game?
According to Wikipedia, 4X is a genre of strategy-based video and board games in which players control an empire and explore, expand, exploit, and exterminate. The term was first coined by Alan Emmerich in his September 1993 preview of Master of Orion for Computer Gaming World.
So there we go. Explore, expand, exploit, and exterminate. So, I guess it could really be called a 4E game, but X is cooler because X. So it's a 4X game. It's one of those games like, I guess Settlers of Catan would fit into one of those, but definitely like Axis and Allies, and although there's not so much explore in that game. So yeah, I guess it is a good thing for that. But like Civilization and those on the computer game, this is the board game. So you basically, obviously, it's set in the Star Trek universe. The board comes with 3 playable factions: the Federation, the Klingons, and the Romulans. And each one comes with a set of little plastic ship tokens. They're about the size of my thumb, I would say. So it comes with ship tokens. It comes with a command deck card that shows your shield level and weapon level, and you can adjust those with research points. And it comes with a deck of research cards that's unique for each race. So like the technologies that the Federation can develop are different than the technologies of Romulans or Klingons. And they're very, very themed to the strengths of the race according to, the Star Trek lore. They come with a set of fleets. Each race gets 3 fleets. That is basically just a grouping of ships with special abilities. But one of the ways how the different races differ is like the Klingon fleets have the Marauders, which just get, I think they get a culture point for destroying things. It comes with a fleet that is better at space attack, and a fleet is better at defense attack. And Klingons cannot retreat from a battle. The Federation has fleets that do exploration and give you bonuses to colonization and exploration, and they can't actually bombard a planet because, Federation are the good guys. So, it's really cool how the different game mechanics fit into the races as they exist in the Star Trek universe. The game also comes with a set of planets. They're circular discs, about yay big. They're really good, thick cardboard. And they're planets or natural hazards. And they are connected via these long rectangular tokens called space lanes. And during the game, if you see in the thumbnail, you can see a board that's laid out as I was playing it over the holidays. And you basically, go into warp or impulse, and you create a space lane. At the end of the space lane is a planet, and you determine which planet by a random thing. And then there's these cards you put on the planet that say whether it's civilized or whether there's an ancient artifact or things like that. And then you can call, and each planet supports a different number of resource nodes that gather the resources for you to build and research and upgrade your weapons and things like that. Excuse me. And then you can connect the planets together, and eventually you make contact, and you can either fight or form a trade alliance or diplomacy or things like that. So that's kind of how the game progresses. There's 3 resources. There's culture, science, and production. Science lets you, research new things, upgrade your weapons. Production lets you build new ships or new research nodes, and culture lets you expand into colonization or influence other races better, and is also one of the victory conditions. There's 2? I think 2 victory conditions I remember, maybe another one. One is you gain cultural hegemony over the entire universe, and you do that by getting 5 Ascendancy tokens that you buy with culture. And the other one, although Klingons can get it through war, and there's other ways to get culture, depending on your race. And the other one is to take over every other race's home planet, and then you win. So, yeah, overall, it's a long game. It takes, oh God, I'll put it this way. I've never actually finished a game. I've gotten a couple turns away from finishing, and by that time, the table had to be cleared, or we were just, tired of it. And these games, it's 3 players, 1 for each faction. I don't know if it would be playable with only 2. Not as well, for sure. But so 3-player game, and it is a minimum of 3 hours of play. But normally, especially if there's someone new or if you're not 100% familiar with the rules, it's going to take longer than the 3 hours. So you basically take your turn and you explore and you kill things and you do that, and it's awesome. And it really, really feels like, not necessarily like an episode of Star Trek, but like a story arc of Star Trek. It really feels like you're in the universe, and like you're playing these races and you're plotting, and it's very, very great the way they captured kind of the feel of Star Trek and put it into this board game. Ton of fun, ton of strategy involved. I know I haven't even scratched the surface of the different powers and the different way the strategies can work. But played 3-4 games of it so far. Most of them to almost close to the end game. But yeah, loving it so far. So it's not perfect. There are some things that could stand some fixing. Number one, the manual is horrible. Maybe horrible is too harsh. The manual worked really well as a tutorial to teach you to play the game. Reading through the manual, I sat down and read it through, and I felt, okay, I know how to play this game. So it was good from that point of view. Once the game started and we had questions on how specific rules worked, that's when the weaknesses of the manual showed. It was very hard to find specific references for specific sections of the game or where rules might be. The organization of it, while it's laid out very well for like a newbie player trying to learn how things work and is kind of logical for that sense, it's not very good to be easy to look up where a power is. So you sometimes have to check a few sections saying, oh, maybe it's in exploration, or maybe it's in combat, or maybe it's in movement, and try to figure out exactly how it works. Another bit is there's some sections where the rules are just undefined. It seems like there's edge cases that are not 100% covered by the rules, and we came up with a house rule because we had to resolve the situation, but it was unclear. None of the players could figure out by reading the rules what the intended mechanic should have been. I haven't checked if they've published an errata online to see if you can, see if they've clarified some of these. It would be good for me to check, and if there is, I'll stick a link here with that errata. If there's not, there'll be no link there. So, yeah, there's some things that could use some level of polish, maybe in a different edition, or if they republish the book, some reorganization. So there was that, which does make things a little harder. Of course, as you learn the rules, that would become less of an issue. The other big weakness, or not weakness, big complaint I had about the game is that it seems to me that a cultural victory, winning by Ascendancy, by spending your culture points and to get Ascendancy tokens, is way too easy. It comes way too fast, which is ironic given that the games go so long. And it's once someone gets really close to a cultural victory, it's very difficult to stop them from winning that way. You basically have to go all out, ignore your own strategy, and decimate them in order to stop them from getting the culture points they need to complete that. And in some cases, games we found where we knew a couple turns before the end who the winner was going to be, and there was nothing the other two players could do to stop them from getting it. Now, maybe some of that's strategy, and that you have to be looking out for cultural victories early and stop them. And so once you become experienced, you just know to do that, and that becomes less of a thing. But especially with new players, if you have two players that know what they're doing and one who doesn't, that guy who doesn't isn't going to know to stop people, and he's going to have no hope because they'll just run straight to culture and be unstoppable. So, I do think that is a weakness of the game, and it's especially. It was especially apparent in one of the games where I was playing as the Klingons, who generally, Klingons don't go for a cultural victory. It was especially evident there where I felt that my ships and my fleet were just getting powerful enough to really be formidable, to really be able to rule the battlefield. And I was just about getting ready to launch my invasion to go for a domination victory when both the Federations and the Romulans were like a point away from a cultural victory. So it seems like that balance is not quite right. And of course, I know game design is hard, and I don't know what a suggested fix for that would be, but it's definitely something I want to look at maybe some house rules on how that can be changed. So those were two of the big complaints I had. There's some other minor complaints, like there's a concept of impulse movement and warp speed movement, and given the rules as they were written and as we understood them, impulse movement seemed to be largely worthless as a movement mechanism. I would say 98% of the moves we did were warp speed moves. And I guess Impulse had a use to kind of park a vessel in space lanes around your planets as a defensive perimeter. But they really, other than that, we didn't really find any reason to ever use Impulse power. So, yeah, when you're going from planet to planet, you're going to be going warp speed, so that does kind of make sense, but you have this mechanic, and it seems odd to have this very specific mechanic that's used for one, small feature of the game. So, yeah, still, even with those complaints, just the fun you have playing the game and the joy of being in the Star Trek universe and the experience of it all, it is an extremely well-crafted game. The tokens and the pieces are durable, thick cardboard, and the plastics, the ships are created well. It is a joy to play, and they put a great attention to detail and quality into the product. So good on that. Overall, heartily recommend you buy it. Give it a try if you're into Star Trek and board games, which I am. Definitely pick it up and give it a try. Or, if you live near me, and you do probably know if you do, shoot me an email, and maybe we can get a game going. Until then, keep playing, and I'll have a great week, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.